Welcome to BBTV. Today, we come to you live from backstage of the Tennis Glamour Contest.
Please excuse the small space today. We're not in the usual studio, and there's a lot of competitors here, so we've ended up in this storage cupboard.
Yes, well, if one of us had gotten the media passes as instructed...
Well, ifs, buts, and should-haves aside, let's not focus on who didn't do what and when.
That was literally your only job.
We have a fantastic broadcast for you tonight, Beacon Space, bringing you all the hottest news from around the world.
Lupus, we will be talking about this later.
News from Icaros, Telas, Heliocytus, Dacia, and the White Whale to come.
So that's how we're doing this. Well then, better get on with the show. But first up, a thanks to our corporate sponsor, the New Eden Gene Bank. Be a better you.
Become healthier. Become stronger. Become smarter. Become better. At New Eden Gene Bank, we offer plans and opportunities for people like you who want to break their limits and rise to new heights. Visit your local branch today for a consultation. New Eden Gene Bank. Be a better you. Proud sponsors of BBTV.
Hopefully I'm a little bit louder now. You know, one of these times I'll finally end up with a better mic, but today is not that day. Either way, welcome into Unrestricted Lorefare and the world of Beacon Space, our sci-fi futuristic setting that's being collaboratively developed by those of us in the Unrestricted Lorefare Discord server. If you're not a part of the server, you can get the link in the Twitch chat or underneath the YouTube video if you're watching the VOD afterwards. Lupus, how about you introduce yourself a little bit further? I think people know me quite a bit.
I am Lupus Calbrecht, fellow anchor of our lore stream here. Today we have a double bill. We have our lore stream and then our faction turn stream. The lore stream, we're going to deal with the in-universe news, the story, the role-playing elements, and then the faction turn, the mechanical nitty-gritty, where my fellow co-host rolls the dice and we see what happens for the next month. But for now, we have submissions from many of the factions, and looking forward to going through them.
Absolutely, and I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday break with the New Year and Christmas and all kinds of other holidays that end up in the end of December and January between our last turn and this one. Hopefully those have all gone well for you. With that, though, we have a Prime report from Chaz Gusto Prime, who I hear is also at the Tennis Glamour Contest and did manage to purchase media passes, as I'm sure his crew was instructed to do so.
Yes, yeah. He's so brilliantly good.
We'd expect nothing less, but let's take a listen in to his report this month. Calbrecht, are you actually hearing his report, or?
No. Is this the right track? Do you have it on the board there?
That's what it says. This says Chaz report.
Yes! He's finally messed up!
Did he mess up, or are we getting punked?
Right, well, either way, I'm gonna step in here, and maybe I can claim some of his Streamy awards.
We'll have to find out.
Indeed. This news report, which I have the transcript of, is titled Worms, Jellyfish and Whales, and it notes that this report has been made possible by the New Eden Gene Bank. Be a better you. Hello Beacon Space, this is Trey Grin here with the latest from around the sector, filling in for Chaz, who will be covering the Tell-Us Glamour Contest with fellow anchor Elle Kalbrecht. In the news this cycle, new governments, raids on Tell-Us, our first jellyfish pollen season, and more on the white whale story. For our first story, the formation of the Tell-Us Trade Group Initiative, or is it the Terror Group Initiative, was announced last cycle in cooperation with the old TTGI. The Children of the Vein and the Ascent hold founding seats, as the Vein government has relinquished sole control over Tell-Us and the Center system. In a statement to the TTGI, Vein officials had this to say: "Our intention was always to foster prosperity and protect the peace of Tell-Us, nurturing a world for all under the eyes of God. Momentous things are coming, and we hope to see the rest of the interstellar community sitting with us side by side in peace on the Council soon. It's an astounding story and a great shift in the status quo of Beacon Space. We here at BBTV will keep a sharp eye out for where this new dynamic shift in interstellar politics leads us next." Coming up for our next story, tensions on Tell-Us have risen into an armed conflict between Vein forces and Amelhart Institute operatives. In the early morning hours of the 10th of the last month cycle, following a declaration by Vein officials revealing renewed acts of aggression by the Amelhart Institute, Vein defense forces were sighted unleashing a live biological weapon into the upper atmosphere of Tell-Us. This massive creature, listed under the operational unit name of Herald of God, according to our intelligence sources, destroyed a covert transport vessel reported to be carrying members of the Amelhart Institute's Shade Team 7's operatives. Following a brief pursuit. Shade Team 7 and their transport was devoured by the massive creature in a matter of seconds, according to some onlookers, after which the assault creature was last sighted landing on the surface of Tell-Us and burrowing underground. According to a nearby space trucker, "It was like watching one of those kaiju movie monsters come to life. The dang thing was bigger than a skyscraper." Vein officials have been tight-lipped about the nature of this creature, but we here at BBTV are offering a reward of 1,000 trade credits for any evidence of credible sightings of the creature known as Herald of God, or as some locals have begun calling it, Harry. Shortly following Harry's assault, a team from Bioshell Infantry Division Tribute launched a raid on an abandoned TTGI terraforming site in pursuit of a live artificial intelligence operative known to our sources as Havoc-48. Vein officials reported that this Havoc-48 individual had orchestrated the growth of a movement on Tell-Us known as the Secularists, an illegal organization of violent radicals opposed to the proliferation of religious organizations on Tell-Us and beyond. Vein forces had received intelligence that this Havoc-48 agent was holding a leadership meeting with the Secularists in an abandoned TTGI terraforming site. But before the Bioshell raid team was able to launch their operation, it appears that Shade Team 7 had been able to relay a warning to Havoc-48 during the transport assault, giving Havoc-48 and the Secularists time to set an ambush. The Secularists were able to operate abandoned industrial terraforming equipment, managing to cause casualties among the raid team as Havoc-48 escaped through the mining tunnels to a hidden escape vehicle. However, Vein's strike fleet Legacy of Worms had been on standby, ready to provide support during the operation, and once orbital observers detected Havoc-48's escape craft, a pod of Locust Swarm biodrones was launched, successfully eliminating the target. Though, the biodrones did reportedly cause some collateral damage in the local area, as a significant quantity of local biomass and industrial equipment was devoured by the living weapons before their timely expiration. In weather news, Tell-Us has been experiencing its first ever jellyfish pollen season since the introduction of the Telaceae medusae titanic jellyfish species. For the next few months, pollen will fill the air and will result in the births of many of the species while invigorating the development of local sea life. This unique pollen season can prove to be a mild irritant on your respiratory system and even outright deadly to some individuals who may be sensitive to the pollen. So, several vein-free clinics are currently available to treat anyone affected. Please speak with your physician or any free clinic experts to get tested and see what treatment plan may be right for you. And finally, an update on the white whale. Since our last report, the white whale has moved from Dacian void space, causing an unholy bear market locally, and has made its way to Dini orbit. The whale has been welcomed by the Dini government, and several celebratory events have been organised around its arrival. We reached out to local government representatives for a quote to get some further insight. Sylvia Alani, a bard of the Tahora Phi, had this to say: "The people of Dini and Tahora Phi everywhere are both humbled and excited to welcome Akult to our skies. When our people first came to Beacon Space, it was the Tahora that guided us here to Dini, and now it is our privilege to help guide this majestic whale to a lasting sanctuary. It is a momentous time for our people, and though this wonderful creature must soon continue its journey, its time here will be remembered forever. We here at the studio are eager to see where the whale's journey leads to next." And this concludes our sector report for this cycle. It's been a busy several days and I could use some downtime. Maybe I can see about joining in on covering the Tell Us Glamour Contest as well. Anyway, this has been Trey Grin, flipping out.
It seems like we got punked by both Chaz and Trey Grin. Quite an unusual pair for the two of them.
Absolutely. I'm just hoping that my credit is duly noted when they inevitably win Employee of the Month again.
I'm sure it will be noted in the fine details of the report. Regardless, thank you to the Children of the Vein for their fantastic reporting as always, and hopefully the punk music was appropriately themed for your faction. Any other thoughts, Calbert? How is this going to impact your covering of the Glamour Contest, given what's occurred here today?
I think that we should run our own presenter Glamour Contest as a side feature, and perhaps hustle enough money to be able to afford those media passes I was supposed to get.
Right. It's not like we don't have a relatively large budget for the sector's premier syndicated news program.
I don't know where that's gone, and I'm willing to testify to it.
Right. In other news, continuing outcomes and leaks from the Aguamala Syndicate. Their internal memorandums continue to make their way to our reporters here in the studio, and, well, we certainly appreciate it, regardless of why we are still on the mailing list. This internal memorandum is written to members and affiliated patrons of the Aguamala Syndicate. It is from the assembled leaders of the same faction, and it is on the subject of the chase to Dacia. As you are no doubt aware, the hunt for the legendary white whale continues, with recent events taking Aguamalan fleets back into more familiar territory around the planet of Dacia. Though we mourn the loss of Etheria's squadron and the remainder of their members are eager to join the ranks of other hunting forces, to carve a place in history in the name of their fallen comrades. A second conflict near Tellus also served as a first test of the newly acquired Rites of Spring, which was able to resist the opposition of the Tahora Phi fleet, Wakahora, prior to its reassignment to meet with the other hunting fleets at Dacia, where hunters have reported that representatives of a number of Starlit Court orders have been spotted in addition to the Tahora Phi's forces that have been working to direct the White Whale's movements. Relating to recent sector events, the Aguamalan Transit Authority is looking for individuals to submit conflict zones across the sector to help assure the accuracy of their travel safety reports. If you're interested, please reach out to your local syndicate representative for additional details. Perhaps we'll have an update from the Aguamalan Transit Authority later in the month on their latest conflict zone report. Of course, we here at BBTV advise you to use numerous sources in making sure your transit across the sector is safe and secure, with the Agumon Transit Authority being one of our top recommendations. Please see our
Absolutely.
website for sponsored disclosures.
The Syndicate continue to be moving and shaking in beacon space, a relevant player as always, despite their relative isolation on the edge of the sector. There is interesting reports regarding their continuing expansion.
Quite well, quite well. Perhaps it will be interesting to see what's up with that white whale. We'll have to reach back out to our correspondents within the Tohoro Y space. I believe we've had quite a few reports from a news reporter out there, like a written newspaper. Perhaps we'll have to see if he's got any word on the topic.
And speaking of expansion and developments, we have a report from Icaros, indicating that the Academy and independent operations by the Ascent have shifted into warp drive. Our reporters are doing their best to keep up on the latest discovery from the Ascent exploratory teams. However, the speed of the information discovery has been significantly impacted by the speed at which the Icarosians are acting on this new information. So far, all we've discovered is that a giant lens has been found in orbit. More details to come as soon as our reporters catch their breaths.
Imagine a giant glass lens. That'd be quite expensive to launch into space, even for such a advanced civilizations as ourselves.
Interviewing an Icarosian is always an interesting experience because you don't know what they've said until you can get in the booth and slow it down 5 times. So you're never quite sure if you got the answers to your questions. So it's a continuing game of catch up, which is the way they like it, obviously.
Obviously, maybe in fact there was a mistranslation, and we'll have to keep our eyes and ears tuned to figuring that out in the near future. Perhaps we'll have to make our way up to the Sector North sometime after this Tellus Glamour Contest is complete, Calbrecht. It's been a while since we've been on the frontiers of space, looking into the recently reintegrated and rediscovered planets of our sector.
BBTV Anchor road trip, I'm on board.
Now that you're outside of any restrictions to remain on Tellus, perhaps we should plan that up. And in fact, doesn't the BBTV have a new ship that's supposed to be launching here shortly? I feel like it's been in construction for 27 turns or something.
I think so, yeah.
Maybe we'll have to take that out next time. With that, though, thank you to those factions which have contributed independent reports. We have some exciting news regarding the Wiki, which is the first thing that is back up. And again, apologies for the prolonged downtime that was much longer than Mirahis would have wished for. But in good news, the Wiki has been restored, and changes from the interim restoration as well have also at this time been merged back in. So with that, I think we get to take a look at some new wiki pages. One that was pointed out specifically to me was the page for the Quetzal.
Yes, unfortunately we had the downtime, then we got it back, and then another downtime. But it's back again, and while we had the partial recovery before, there are many other wikis that had absolutely nothing, no backups, no data written anywhere else. So we're grateful that they got that back at the expense of our inconvenience for a while, unfortunately. But now we can examine one of the most fleshed out pages on one of the people of Beacon Space, because that's really what brings the world to life. And the Quetzal, which have featured heavily in free agent games, one of our most popular species to play as, and several prominent NPCs, because there is so much information, both physical, cultural, and societal, about them.
Yeah, perhaps one of the most interesting things that was perhaps accidentally made a mistake of in the Rediscovery Episode 1 is the naming scheme for Quetzal regarding coordinating their name to the color of themselves.
Indeed, Quetzal are a colourful bunch. They all follow the same axolotl humanoid style profile, which we saw in that fantastic art at the top. They tend to be of 3 colours and have names that relate to those 3 colours.
Thank everyone for getting wiki pages up and continuing to add information and sticking with us through the unfortunate downtime. So we're glad to see it's back up and can't wait to see what other new articles get added over the next coming months.
Indeed, there's been a holiday break and I've seen plenty go up onto staging and votes ready to go onto the wiki. It's exciting to see that expansion, and that after over 2 years of doing the faction turn and beacon space, we still have plenty of lore being produced. It's good to see.
Absolutely. Speaking of lore production, perhaps a more game advertisement upcoming news, but Free Agents is still going on. There's been a brief respite for personal reasons and scheduling issues, which is common for any tabletop game, but there should be new sessions coming up soon, if I'm understanding you correct, Calbrecht.
There'll be a scheduling post going up tomorrow. There will be a game on Tuesday and sometime next weekend, as yet to be determined. Waiting to hear from a few people. But if you would like to play as a character within the world of Beacon Space, be it a muscle-bound street samurai in the cyberpunk tradition, a hacker, a rigger, a powerful bleed magician running in the shadows, the edge of Beacon Space, in the cracks of society, then you can play in Free Agents. It is Westmarch's style RPG using the Cypher system. Anybody is free to play, drop in, drop out. Just let Ahmad know that you'd like to participate and we'll get you involved.
Absolutely, and in fact, one of the current arcs is taking place on board the Tellus station, which is always an interesting place to explore.
Indeed, we have a couple of overlapping arcs going on at the moment. Last time we examined the Valkai arc. This current one that we're doing is based, as far as the players are aware at present, on a rent dispute around the exclusive country club, which is up for new management, but we'll continue to see how that develops. In the story so far, our agents have identified and overtaken a base of operations on the station to operate out of. So we will continue to see how that develops over the coming month and let you know on the next lore stream.
Sure, there will be no exclusive reports coming out of Calbrecht's investigations into the Free Agents that we get to look forward to.
Absolutely.
With that, though, a slower month given the holidays, we are, I believe, just about out of lore to cover.
But it's not over yet.
It is not. Can you think of anything else before we wrap up and take a few-minute break to transition over to the faction turn?
I think that we have kept the people waiting long enough, and they want to see, after a month and a half of deliberation, what the results of their actions will be.
Well, that only sounds reasonable. We'll have to give just a moment then, as we'll take a brief pause for about 3 to 5 minutes, so I can make sure we're all set up here for the faction turn portion of today's show. But thank you for joining us for Beacon Space Tonight, episodes 27. This has been Xavier Storditz and my co-host Lupus Calbrecht. We, of course, will see you next time on Beacon Space Tonight. The exact date and time of the next stream is to be determined, much like the following Faction Turn stream, but that information will be available in the Discord if you'd like to follow us there to figure out where you can see us next. Any other final words, Calbrecht?
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everybody who submits stuff for the lore stream. I know that it is a lot of effort, and I appreciate being able to share that, share people's work. Thank you for participating in the community, and if you haven't yet, more than welcome to join us.
Well, with that, thank you all very much. I'll be back in just a few moments, and I'll leave you with some fun tunes in the meantime. Bye!